That's true. When you disappeared. Oh, we're live.
Yes, we are. Hello,
We are
everyone.
live? Okay.
Welcome to Pone Talk. This is the 4th episode now. I guess we've been doing this for a month somehow. Is that true? Or is this the 3rd episode and I just
I think even
miscounted?
a little more. No, it's the fourth episode.
Okay, great.
Maybe even fifth. Who knows, man? It's been a summer of podcasts. I've
Wow.
been recording every day. I'm just a very popular guy this summer.
I've actually heard that's one of the best jobs if you can get it.
Just being a professional podcaster.
Yeah, you can make a bunch of money and you record, if you think about, even a prolific podcast would do maybe 3 or 4 hours a week of content.
Yeah, except for all my podcasts are with you, and for every hour and a half I spend talking to you, I need 3 hours of therapy.
Wow. All right. Well,
No,
that's don't send me that bill, man. I don't want that at all. All right.
What I mean to say is it feeds the soul.
Talking with me. Yeah, it's
exactly
great. We also, our topics are so niche that there's no money to get anybody to do any of the other stuff that you need to do in a podcast, like edit and make things nice and, wrangle all of your fellow talent.
Other podcast, we had to fire our post-production editor.
Replace it with AI, man. People are losing jobs due to AI. 100%. We have with us Connor Kanak. How you doing?
You pronounced it wrong, man. I thought we covered it's kanak.
I completely forgot, and I just went with the very first thing. I remember doing it. I did not remember the pronunciation, and so I just went with the exact.
This is okay. We're going back to no pronunciation.
Kanak. Is that the way? Oh no, you're not going to just say yes to whatever I.
It's close enough.
All right, Canuck.
Yeah.
See, that's like the Canadian way I want to say it. Cool. Okay, so thanks everyone for being here, and we also have a 4th guest.
Host.
You may recognize him. Host. Sorry, a 4th person here. He's also a host, although he has not talked yet. You probably have already recognized his beard, and you're wondering why is that guy not talking. So robwaz, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am robwaz. I teach some of the courses over at Pone College, and I'm a PhD student over at ASU. I was going to shave off the beard, but I listened to the last podcast and you closed it with the man, the beard, the legend. And I was just like, well, if I do that now, it's all.
You could show up with a beard and a bag.
I don't know if that's good for viewership.
I don't know. Then maybe we could. That's where we could get money to pay for editors, is by raffling off Rob's beard to the highest Pone College bidder.
I think that's a great idea. That's gonna be the next. This is how we monetize.
The beard of 1,000 YouTube videos, right?
A beard that launched 1,000 VR careers.
Ooh, I like that. All right. Well, great. Hidden in that beard is a lot of knowledge and depth, and I think even the robwaz intro did not do that justice. So this week we'll try to dig into a little bit of Rob's past, and then we'll talk about Rob's, I was going to say present, but it's more like future, but it's within less than a month away. So I think that's a good place. We're going to talk about some of the cool stuff we're doing with DEF CON Academy. So first, Rob, the people did not get to hear from you. Please give them the intro to robwaz.
Okay.
And your Pone College. You can talk about your background as much as you want, but specifically the people want to know about your experience with Pone College.
So my experience with Pone College runs pretty much the whole history of the platform. I was first introduced to Pone College in its first iteration. This was back when Jan and Connor first taught CSE 466, which was the system security course. And back then, Pone College looked nothing like what Pone College does today. There was no website. SSH didn't work. It was this.
That's a little unfair. It's not that it didn't work. It didn't exist. It wasn't a feature of the platform.
I thought you were going to say it didn't work well. That's not the same thing, but yes.
No, it was just a socket that you would netcat to, except you couldn't even netcat to it, right? We had this copy pasta socat command that was like 5 lines long, and you'd have to paste it into your terminal to connect to Pone College. and you would just get a little menu on your terminal, and if you hit the wrong button, it would like flood your terminal or it would kick you out. It was a good time. You had to get stuff perfectly right. And so I was doing my undergrad at ASU, and it was
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it was my first time really interacting with binary exploitation. We dealt a little bit with it, or I dealt a little bit with it in your class, Adam. I took your CSE 365.
What? Wait, when?
Yeah,
Wow.
long time ago. But it was my first time doing like real binary exploitation with Jan and company. And the class was a giant circus, right? They were building the platform as we were going through it. It was exciting. I really enjoyed Jan's lecture style because everything was a live demo, which kind of has become, a tenet of modern day Pone College. We've just gotten better at it. Because
you say lecture style, that actually implies that they're like lectures usually imply like a plan. Is that, you're sure it's not like rant style?
It was a little ranty, but you learned a lot along the way, right? Like Jan would go down these rabbit holes for hours. So someone would ask a question about like, how does a library load? And then the next hour and a half is going to be Jan marching through the loader in libc. And you learned a lot, just not necessarily what we initially showed up to do.
But even better
so then
stuff.
yeah. And I really enjoyed that because you got to see the instructor stumble and make mistakes, and he would talk through what he was thinking about, and what his reasoning process was. And that was really exciting to me because it wasn't just lecture slides and then go do this assignment.
So instead of sitting there going, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about, you're like, wow, this guy kind of doesn't know what he's talking about, but he knows how to find out the things that he doesn't know about.
Yeah, and he'd recover, right? Like he would go down these horrific rabbit holes, but he would eventually bounce back up out of it, which was super cool to see because it's the same type of pain points that I experienced when I was going through the material, right? I'm not sure what I'm looking at, and seeing somebody else go through that process helped me be like, this is normal. This is what should happen. And if I just put in the time, I'll get to the other side.
Nice. And yeah, obviously Jan was inspired by my live CTF hack throughs because that was a similar actually style of thing that I was frustrated with, of reading CTF walkthroughs where they're like, well, then you do this and then you do this and then you do this. And you're like, wait, how did you get from step 2 to 3? Like, what the, like, it doesn't show you all the other like paths that you go down trying to do the actual thing. So yeah, I definitely think there's value there.
And well, one thing that we did have in the very first iteration of Pone College was the leaderboard, and I was very motivated to compete in that regard. One of the things that Jan did back in that first year was at the start of every class, this was before it was streamed, he would name and call out the top like 2 or 3 people on the leaderboard.
Wow,
and
using
then
real names or?
No, using handles. And
Great.
The class, I think, was like 300, 400 when we started.
People?
Yeah, 400 students.
No. I think we started with 120.
No.
I think so. Those were, yeah, because ASU Computer Science for a couple of years after that grew by like 30% a year. That's why we ended up with the massive classes we have now.
It was just so you could say you're on the top of a leaderboard of 300 students, Rob. Is that what you were thinking?
No, it felt huge.
The 1%,
right? And back then, your username wasn't persistent, right? Because it was just this terminal that you'd connect to over a raw socket. And so one of the motivations for me was, of course, scoring well on the leaderboard. But the other thing was I wanted Jan to just say ridiculous things. And so every module, I would change my username to be something just to get Jan to say it. And so like I use Arch Linux. I Tumblebelly was one, just like goofy things so that Jan would call it out, because he would ask the class, does Tumblebelly want to stand up and be acknowledged?
Jesus, what?
And so it was fun in that regard as well. And so, yeah, I did perform well because I was very motivated in that class. It spoke to me, and it kind of ignited a passion for cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is really applied computer science, right? You have to have a deep understanding of how things truly work in order to take advantage of them. And so you're always looking like one layer deeper. And so, yeah.
So can you tell us, does anything stand out from that first iteration? Did you have any epic like hacks of the infrastructure?
I did. So I think.
Can you please tell us about them? I think like the people want to know.
I think Connor, correct me here. I think at one point in that first year, you did enable SSH.
Eventually, but that wasn't your first bug. It was still netcat.
Was it?
We added
the
an
first bug
import
was
read
netcat.
line to the entry point infrastructure.
I know it was a bug with the
I remember
entry
it's import
point.
read line specifically that caused the problem.
Yeah, you told us, hey, if I do like this read line
Tab.
shortcut, I can
Like if you hit
view all the
tab.
files. Yeah.
So what I remember, and
wait, I'm sorry. This epic hack that I've been hearing about for years was Robert pressing tab.
No,
I'm pretty sure it was tab.
It wasn't that. No, like this is why I think it was. I thought SSH was working then, because the bug was when you connected. It had to do with how they were handling the connection on the other side. By default, they were assuming that you didn't specify a command to execute, and this is why I thought it was SSH. Because SSH, you can connect and specify a command to immediately execute.
That
was
another
definitely
one.
also a bug at one point. Yeah. But even before the SSH, because we saved every single username, student ID, password as just a file name, that somehow, because those were all in the current working directory, you hit tab and it tries to like autocomplete. It just showed you all of them.
I don't
leaking
remember.
Everyone's username password. It's almost like it's bad to store them as files on the file system.
Plain text.
I thought you were the one that took advantage of that bug. There was also the SSH one, which is just as embarrassing.
Yeah, that read line bug, the interesting thing there is you could use the command expansion ability of read line to command inject with it. I think only we figured that out. That's now a challenge in the Bash Dojo, by the way.
Was I was able to execute a command before in the infrastructure before it dropped you into the Docker instance. And so I just had a shell that was on the host. And I didn't
Docker run access, which is basically root.
Well, yeah, and because the username, passwords, and grades were, as they were, it was like, this is clearly not intended. And Jan had laid out, we still have this, that like if you find a vulnerability in the infrastructure, you report it responsibly and we'll take care of it. And so I sent an email and I was just like, hey, I found this. Here's everyone's username and password.
I'm Tickle Bunny Belly.
Yes. But there was this condition of like, don't waste my time. And so I was like very gentle about it because I didn't have experience with cybersecurity. I'm like, yeah, here's everyone's flags for everything. Yeah, Jan replied back that, yeah, hey, this was a real vulnerability, and I capped out the extra credit that was awarded there since it was an actual infrastructure bug.
Yeah, that was some insane. Like I think it was a letter grade and a half per, and you had 2 or 2.5 of these types of reports throughout the semester.
Yes, yeah, and then I 100%ed the 466 class, was rank 1 every module except for 1.
Even if you had the extra credit, you still did every challenge as well?
Yes.
That's normal. Okay, keep going.
And so clearly, I was enjoying it. I had a great time. And so I talked with Jan after class and I was like, hey, I'm really enjoying this. This is my last semester in my undergrad, a second to last semester. How can I get into cybersecurity. And Jan said, hey, we run this research lab, CEFCOM. Why don't you join us as an undergrad researcher? We'll pair you up with a PhD student, and you can start learning about cybersecurity research. And so I did that. And then he tricked me into doing a PhD, which has pinned me here for another, 3 years or so. And now I get to, work here with Pone College, which is amazing. So like last year, I had the opportunity to teach CSE 466, which is that same class that Jan taught that inspired me to get into that.
It's an incredible journey,
impressive.
but at the end of it, the amazing thing is you think you're getting a good deal. We get to work with you. Yeah. It is very cool seeing 466 kind of evolve, because I actually haven't taught 466 since T2, I think. Fall 22. So it's now a bit fall 23, 24. No, I think even fall 21. So I taught it for 4 years, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then I haven't taught it in so long because now, I moved to 365. I'm doing a 598 on vulnerability analysis. That's pretty cool. And things still run.
Yeah, exactly. So things still run. I think that's a great segue. So Rob, as somebody who is kind of deep in the guts from the student side of Pone College, how can you talk briefly, because we talked a lot, the past couple episodes about the evolution of Pone College over time. So can you talk about the way you've seen like the platform, the challenges, the philosophy kind of evolve over time?
So Pone College has evolved a lot over the years. And it really takes a lot of people to do that, right? It started off with just Jan and these ranting lectures with Connor, just trying to get everything to not be on fire, right? And for many years,
sounds very similar, but go on.
But for many years, there was the tradition of this is fine, the dog in the fire meme. The dojo always catches fire the first month of the semester. And we just kind of rolled with it. And that was very reminiscent of how Pone College started. But I think if we look back to like last semester, the spring semester, the Dojo platform has become significantly more stable. And we've definitely matured as a platform, both infrastructure side and I think on the teaching philosophy side. We have a lot more structured lectures. We have a lot more well-built challenges, I would say. The laddering and kind of small steps in what you need to do, it's a lot easier to get started, right? When I started Pone College, it was just this SOCAT command, and then if you exploited the binary and it sent the wrong bit, you just get kicked out of the server, right? Now we have a full VS Code interface where you can do everything from the browser, and we have people solving challenges on their phone or on their iPad, right? As a platform, it's evolved just to an insane degree. We have the Linux Luminarium. So like, even if you aren't familiar with the terminal at all, you can just get started, and there's something that's approachable to just get hacking and get going. Where when we look at the earlier years, there was so much that we didn't have content to point somebody to. There was a whole lot of, and I still meme about it, probably more than I should. But the answer to a lot of stuff in those first couple years was read the man page, right? And I think that's good philosophically, but it can certainly be a bit abrasive to new learners who are really looking for something a bit more gentle to get started in cybersecurity.
Yeah, like RTFM is not a great like teaching strategy necessarily, except the teaching the mindset of people to go to the man pages and to read the documentation, I think, is incredibly important.
Yeah. And so now we can do both, right? We have the Linux Luminarium, which teaches people to read the man page. And so it can definitely be a lot less abrasive in the Discord chat. And over the years, right, the learners, like I'm I guess the quintessential example, the people who started on Pone College have kind of risen up within the community. And so we have blue belts and green belts and people who have gone through all of this content, and they may have earned their blue belt a year ago, 2 years ago, but they still hang out in our community and answer questions, and they talk about new and exciting things that are happening in cybersecurity, or they build their own dojo. And so I think Pone College went from, this magic command that you type in the terminal. It's really grown not only educationally and as a platform, but as a community.
Nice.
All right, so you are so popular. I don't know if you know, we already have some questions just for you in the chat. So not friendly 1337 on Twitch says, why does he name everything do.py or ./c? Do.py or do.c? Defend yourself and your choices live in front of the people.
All right. No, that's fair. I dunk on myself for that. So in general, I'm a fairly disorganized person. And so
is that why
naming
you just
things
don't shave? Is that part of it?
No. I actually, generally speaking, I like having a beard. That's why I don't shave. But the do.py is a combination of two things. It started off because I'm disorganized, and I'm definitely disorganized digitally. I've RF'd my projects more times than I would like to admit.
Well, that's why we have a challenge about it.
But I decided there's a positive to naming everything do.py. One, I know what it is. And two, if I don't save things, there's like two types of users kind of as far as organization goes on Pone College. There's those that like meticulously build this file system and save all of their work because they want to, go back and look at their notes, or they want to go back and look at their prior solutions. And I think that's great. And then there's people like me where it's like, no, I want to figure everything out fresh on the fly every time. And so if I name everything do.py, then I'm constantly deleting my old work. And so when I look at a challenge that I may have solved in the past, I don't have reference notes. I don't have reference material. Instead, what you're seeing is me just blind, okay, what's going on?
This is
so
terrifying.
It's intentional.
It became intentional. It started off not being intentional, but nowadays it is.
So a helpful and nice to others individual on our Twitch said, I think most people do solve.py LUL. I don't know if that's different from LOL. I'm not a youth. But do.py makes more sense for demos. So they're already in your corner, robwaz.
Okay. I'll tell you one thing. Do not name it pwn.py.
Why would you do that, Rob?
So the way Python imports work, they will try and import from your current working directory. And so if you have a file named pwn.py in your current working directory, and then you work on an exploit, you'll try and import your current file instead of pwn tools. And this goes it's a common gotcha that people run into when they work out of a single directory.
Nice. So I think y'all are crazy because I think x.py is the only way to do it. Like 4 characters, boom, and you're done.
Okay.
But reinventing the solve script from scratch every single time is also like slightly bonkers behavior, Rob.
Why? Oh, you mean for the same challenge or across different challenges?
He's saying he doesn't store his solves to challenges.
Oh, yeah. That's why there's
just
people
always
love
a new. I guess people chat. Is this why we love robwaz? Yes or no? Is it L or F?
It's because he keeps losing his solves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool because as a instructor or somebody that streams solving these things, I think it's good that I don't produce the exact same script every time, right?
I think for a demo, like starting from scratch is great, but also not having any reference notes, or even just as a student yourself going through the levels. Like I have exploit scripts from every CTF I've played, right? And I often reference those because I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this thing. Let me like snatch some code from there and use it.
I learned from the best. I learned from Zardus in his prime. Okay, you solve these things and go
Well,
down the rabbit hole, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you just come out the other side.
So you knew Jan during his PhD days, huh?
Well, no, it was downhill from there.
No comment.
Near the prime. Near the prime is also pretty good.
It implies there was a hill that we are, maybe we're just all the way up.
Okay.
Some people are saying, let's see, Jane says t.pi for temporary. That's pretty good. Star-Lord says, I keep losing them as well. Pi.pi. All right. And naming... Go ahead.
I think keeping them around, like, we actually have verification scripts, because a lot of these challenges in Pone College, they're template generated. And so when we template generate them for most of the ones on the platform, we have verification scripts that test that there's each variant is solvable. So there's always this backup that we always have to resist when answering questions of pulling up the verification script and saying, what were we doing? And so, in some sense, if you're going to be like hoarding your different solves that you worked on, you might as well just look back to the verification script. So you just go the other direction. Embrace
you say hoarding, but it's like literally keeping track of what you've done. Like, I still have every code I wrote, every essay I wrote from my undergrad, because I backed that all up, because it's I don't know.
That's when you're a student. Away. It's nostalgic. I look back sometimes.
Was a student.
Well, that's a good point.
These verification scripts. These verification scripts also just are entirely unreadable and lacking.
Barely exist.
We also just don't even have some for many of our challenges.
Okay, for many we don't have them, but for everything,
they're also
up through
unreadable.
yellow belt we have them, right?
It's like a single script that solves everything in the module, contextually it's based on. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's unusable for this purpose. Okay, that's great. So then, Rob, are you the only one of us four currently in this podcast? Are you the only one with a blue belt?
No, I do not have a blue belt. So I predate belts.
The people are shocked.
I predate belts. I don't have an orange belt. I told myself last semester I was going to go through 365 along with the class.
That's some difficult material, man.
Jan and Connor keep pumping out content faster than I can solve it.
We got to catch up with this pile of belts behind me here.
So you never gave people belts at us, so all his solves predate belts. They didn't transfer over to the older system, Jan. I feel like this is.
So we made a misstep in 2020. Well, first of all, there was no database. There was no system, right? There were a bunch of files that we touched in a grade directory that we then leaked to everyone that hit tab, like you said. But the other misstep is, even after we had belt, next August, we wiped the database. We kept a note of the belt on a belt page, and then we wiped the database. And that was tragic. We shouldn't have done it. We still have the data, the backup, but
we don't have all the backup. We've reset multiple times. We have one backup. The final reset we have before that, but there were
multiple
a total
times.
of 4 or 5 resets.
Wow, this
At
really...
the end of 2018, we reset. At the end of 2019, we reset. At the end of
2018, we didn't have a system.
At the end of
2019, we were already on CTFD, and you're right, we did reset. Sorry to talk over you.
You did have a system. You had a file system. You could have tarballed it.
We could have transferred that, yeah.
Yeah, just made a tarball.
Madness. Yeah,
you're going against what I just said on Twitch. Data is so cheap, you should just store the data.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, we weren't thinking in terms of a learning community. We were still thinking in terms of a one semester class. And it really, in 2020, we made that leap. And in 2021, we still wiped the database. That was a mistake. And then afterwards, we realized, all right, no, that's it. We're sticking with it.
But also, ever since we've wiped the database, we have trade-offs. Like, for example, Jan stopped announcing people at the top of the leaderboard because the top of the leaderboard stopped meaning anything.
That's right. Yeah. So then we ran into this problem where the scoreboard started becoming a little more static. And it became hard to know, when to announce people, et cetera, et cetera. And it's something that I want to go back to, but you have to figure out how to make the scoreboard make sense to do that. Like,
But
for
it also
example,
doesn't make
maybe
sense. I mean, the other thing you could say that, but like in 365, that like, yeah, there's also a scoreboard, and for that module, it's only for the people in that class. But of course, what happens is the students pre-solve the
exactly.
challenges publicly, board the flags, and then the minute it's out, submit all the flags. So it's not even really a useful measure of like, it's like who pre-did work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to fight, because we could change the scoreboard with some light code in the dojo to figure out, hey, what is the total time from starting the first challenge in the module to finishing, and rank on that. But it's tricky.
Then you pre-solve on a different
everything's
account,
gameable.
have all your
Exactly.
solutions, and run all your solutions fast.
So yeah,
exactly.
it's
so I just don't think it makes sense. Like a
yeah.
leaderboard maybe just doesn't make sense for long-running challenges. Maybe you need to have some custom course-specific challenges, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 or something.
On Tuesdays, we have like Pone College platform development meetings, and someone yesterday brought up removing the scoreboard. See, Rob disapproval.
Who would ever say that?
Rob judgment meme.
I think it's actually like, yes, I think the top of the leaderboard doesn't matter, but I think the leaderboard itself, it still serves a purpose, and it does motivate people to like do stuff. Even if like you're pre-solving stuff, that's a pretty like interesting behavior that you're actually like incentivizing students to get work done early. Of course, the person that does that is probably a person that doesn't need to do the work early, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, it's really tricky. You need a way to call out the top performers that are interested in competing to be the top performer. Even pre-solving all of this stuff, you need to figure out how to include them in some reasonable way. And then the other thing is you need a cohort. The leaderboard, the big awesome part of it is when I would announce, hey, the top 5, congratulations to Tumblebelly and blah, 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 blah. Those people recognized each other by that in some interesting way. Figuring out how to keep that while kind of transforming a leaderboard, it's a very interesting problem. I don't think anyone's really solved it.
In-person written exams. Anyways, all right. So we've learned a lot about Rob's background. We've learned more than we wanted to know about his digital organizational style. And now we're going to talk about Rob's future, but short-term future. I'm not going to predict your long-term future. So short-term future, Rob, what are you doing? Is it August 8th or August 9th?
I think it's the 7th.
7th? Did I completely miss? Whatever. Just keep going as if this didn't happen. 7th is a Thursday. You're technically going there, but you'll be doing it on the 8th, and I was right on the money.
No, it's starting on the 7th.
No. If the con allows, we are going to be one of the few events live on the 7th. So what we're doing is we're having we announced it last year, DEF CON Academy, right? And DEF CON Academy is kind of taking the spirit of what Pone College was when it started and opening it up to everyone at DEF CON Live. And so we have a dedicated space with a stage, tables, laptops. We have a packed speaker list of many of the kind of bigger names on the Pone College Discord, where anyone that wants to learn how to hack can show up, get a 30-minute, 1 hour, not necessarily lecture, more Jan style lecture. I'm stressing live demos in this, so hopefully the demo gods bless us. But they'll get real hands-on hacking time. You see somebody do it and then sit down and solve it themselves. And we are staffing this space with yellow belts, green belts. I think most of the people are blue belts that are
real blue belts, not fake blue belts like you.
Right. No, they're real belts, the real blue belts that have solved all the challenges and have a physical blue belt. And the sole purpose or like task of all of these blue belts is to get people hacking, get people unstuck. So I've been to DEF CON not nearly as many times as you all. I think this will be my 5th or 6th DEF CON. But I definitely have fallen victim to just kind of wandering the con or being stuck in the hallways, or like you're in line for an event and you spend more time in line than for the actual event. You know, DEF CON is awesome. And from the first time I've wanted to go every year. But it can be very difficult to find hands-on events that are available. There's a lot of CTFs anyone can join, but if you want to try and like sit down and learn a new skill, I know a lot of the villages do workshops. I think registration for the workshops opened up a couple days ago, and those fill up almost instantly. And so DEF CON Academy is just this open space where anyone at the con can just walk in, sit down, and be like, "Hey, I want to learn, how to function in the Linux terminal. Hey, I want to do my first buffer overflow." And they can sit down, and there's going to be knowledgeable expert hackers in the room that can help you run through that. And so hopefully we can get people from kind of wandering around the con, being like, yeah, I'm going to be a hacker, to actually doing hacker things. And so it's going to be super cool. I'm very excited.
Wow, this is incredible. Jan, why don't you tell us the vision? Like, how did DEF CON Academy come about?
Yeah. So Pone College started out.
Wait, not that far back. People already know that story.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, go ahead.
Pone College started out with the goal of getting people into having some real applicable hacking skills, right? Not just learning about, the CIA triad, like theoretical cybersecurity and stuff, and not just having exposed something once or twice, but like muscle memory, figuring out how to do things for real, right? And I think we've succeeded fairly well on the small scale of individual classes, even though the classes are large. There's limited impact there. And then we had this like really interesting glimpse into, hey, if we create this as a global community, people just stream in. And a lot of people, they stream in. And I noticed this, there was this brief period of time when Twitter went crazy and like whenever it got bought, right? And like a chunk of people went to different alternative platforms, and there was these fledgling interesting communities that really died out on Mastodon in cybersecurity, and people trying to learn cybersecurity. And you saw a lot of people showing up to platforms like Pone College, or there's tons of crypto hack the box, right? Whatever, right? They show up and they learn a little bit, and then there just wasn't the guidance that they needed. And then they would just kind of fall out of it. And I noticed this happening a lot on these kind of fledgling uh, communities. And then I realized that this also happens, and I've seen it happen a ton at DEF CON itself. Rob mentioned you wander around a lot. You get into one talk, and I remember in Dan Kaminsky's talk, I was like, "Oh my God, this DNS hackery! This is incredible! I'm going to go home," and I'd go home, or I'd go to my hotel room. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'd set up a DNS tunnel, and I'd start messing around with it, and then it's just like, yeah, well, now what? I don't know what the next step. There isn't that level of support for me personally. It took me. My first DEF CON was quite a while ago. It was DEF CON 9 in 2001. So this will be my 24th DEF CON. I missed one DEF CON early on. And I didn't start CTFing until 2009. So it was years and years of slow learning and these kind of false starts. The chat, come on, man. Oh man.
That's why we do
Especially
this.
this
What you said
year,
on the
that's
episode.
brutal.
It's the community,
Exactly. So, I realized DEF CON is an awesome example of where this happens. seen it happen with a lot of people, not just me, where people just need an extra push. For me, that extra push was being exposed to Shellfish, the CTF team, but not everyone has friends that are members of CTF teams and so on, right? So after the Order of the Overflow stopped hosting DEF CON CTF, right, and me and you, we suddenly had an enormous amount of free time. But I think you probably also felt this. I felt like I loved contributing to DEF CON at a kind of elite cool level. And suddenly we were just kind of retired. We could wander around DEF CON and, bask in our former glory, but we weren't helping people, helping the community as much. And so I've realized we could put
Well,
two
you
and
weren't
two
really
together.
helping Shellfish
Before?
with CTFs. No,
Yeah,
afterwards.
exactly.
You were too busy walking the community trying to see what you could
I know,
see.
man. I was just so like that year after we retired from organizing DEF CON CTF, I just, I just couldn't force myself to sit down and play. I just like chat with people. Anyways, yeah, and so this was like, oh shit, here's a problem, and we have a solution. We know that our style of teaching honing works. The kind of community model, the challenge progression, everything Rob just talked about, the blue belts that stick around, this all works online. And maybe you can also make it work in person so that people that are interested in this don't have to email me and say, hey, Jan, I'm really interested in doing this. The kind of undirected online version is hard for me. I'm going to improve my life and go get a master's at ASU or something, right? And people can go and get a feel for that at DEF CON Academy.
Before doing their master's at ASU. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah, if the ASU administration asks, then of course this is all gonna stream right into ASU and have a lot of tuition money.
And that way, your finder's fee goes right into your pocket, right, from all of these master students you're bringing in.
Exactly, right into someone's pocket up in the administration.
Yeah, no comment. So Rob outlined this like very ambitious and actually kind of wide scaling enterprise with a stage and an area and laptops and all this stuff. How did something like this get created? Like how do you actually what were the mechanics of building DEF CON Academy? Anyone? Jan? That was mostly directed to you since I know you did that.
Yeah, there's a couple of there's mechanics financially, there's mechanics organizationally, right? Financially, the whole Pone College model started out being supported by the Department of Defense as kind of a portion of another research project that explored kind of what is now very hip, but it's basically human analysts using automated techniques to help analyze software vulnerabilities. And a minor part of this program was, hey, sometimes the humans don't have the skills they need to do anything. Let's skill them up so that they can do something together with these automated systems. And that grew into Pone College. That's where the funding to build the platform came from. Then once it started getting big and successful, we created this American Cybersecurity Education Institute, which is the ASU organizational structure to fund and support this sort of stuff. And then DARPA came in and gave us a grant to the American Cybersecurity Education Institute to do, among a whole number of other things, the CTF Academy, the blah, blah, to do DEF CON Academy to support this. So like DEF CON Academy is costing us being Arizona State University. I don't handle the exact numbers, but I think it's probably like $50,000 to $75,000 to run it this year. And that's how much DEF CON CTF cost us as well when we were running DEF CON CTF, right? So these things aren't cheap. They need support. So luckily, the DoD came in clutch and helped support this because they kind of believed in that neat model of this style of education. Now that's from the financial side of things. From the organizational side of things, of course, we need to get a space at DEF CON and support from DEF CON the conference, because this stuff is really hard to do, even just organizationally. When you say, hey, we have a stage and a room, and it's like someone has to set all that shit up. And that's where
make there be space for you. As we actually figured out our first time hosting DEF CON CTF, we were like, yeah, well, obviously there'll be space for us. And they're like, yeah, but shouldn't you be telling us how much space you need? And we said, yeah, we have 24 teams, 8 people each. And they're like, what? How's that going to fit? And
yeah, that's right.
The fire chief had some.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
No, DEF CON, the conference, has just an incredible like support staff group, and I can't name them all, but Nikita, Grifter, Forky, Chef, these names are pop out, but there's like tons and tons of people that are involved in making sure, okay, well, these fuckers need tables, and they need chairs, and they need power strips, and they need a stage. Who the fuck needs a stage? Why? But actually, yes, you have all of this educational material and all of this stuff. So then that's from the DEF CON side of things.
You're forgetting the most important person on the DEF CON side.
Oh, yes. And then, of course, the most important person on all of DEF CON is the Dark Tangent, right? And so the Dark Tangent comes in terms of, he's been wanting to do, I don't want to put words in his mouth. We should have him on like a future week. But when I was talking to him when we were retiring from hosting CTF, and it's like, what, I want to keep contributing to the community. Where do you think there's these opportunities? And he brought up, hey, you're a professor. One thing that we've often brainstormed about is starting our own university. So that's DEF CON Academy is a result in
What's
part
the
of
pay
that
like
conversation.
For DEF CON University?
Yeah, that's it's, I think if you measure all of the fulfillment and et cetera, we're still losing money.
Well, it would probably be the same amount of money as the DEF CON organizers themselves, the people you just mentioned.
CTF,
No, not CTF, but the organizers, right?
Yes.
Like these people, for people that don't know, the DEF CON conference is put on by volunteers. Like these people are doing all of this stuff, and ASU and the government is putting in money to create DEF CON Academy and making it happen. And the people on the DEF CON side are doing all of this work as well. So that was a joke for DEF CON University.
Yes, exactly. So it's all this volunteer-based stuff. So I don't know, Dark Tangent got excited about this. The DEF CON crew got excited about it. We were excited about it. And we made it work organizationally. And then there's the third, there's several other critical components. The one is like, we have this education focused thing. It's not like, unheard of at DEF CON, but I think at this scale, it hasn't existed. And we need, hordes of volunteers, because this isn't just a lecture based thing. This is, you listen to them, and then you can go and practice right away. We're bringing like 32 laptops that will be set up and ready to hack on if people don't have their own computer, this sort of thing, right? So like all of this needs oversight, needs volunteers who can, individually help people, needs these speakers. Prop, with all my rambling, did you talk about like the speaker lineup and everything? Yeah.
He said
I did not
will be
go
speakers.
through the speaker lineup. I left it as there will be speakers, right? That'll like appear on the hacker tracker.
Yeah, a full speaker lineup was like a whole parallel track, another track to DEF CON, all about learning this, learning that, approaching this? How do we think about learning Linux? How do we, think about microarchitectural exploits? So what are the latest kernel techniques? How did we approach these? How do we think about it? And all of this, how many speakers do we have?
I'm gonna guess 10.
Yeah, like 10 speakers throughout the 3 days. That's demo. Then we have how many volunteers?
20 something, like 24.
Yeah. Then 24 people sitting around to help people through through all the material. It's a big undertaking and a lot of organization on that side. The money we have through the American Cybersecurity Education Institute's sponsored grants, but then for the actual organization, that's something that Rob really stepped up and made happen, right? Like all this scheduling stuff I'm very bad at, right? I there's a reason that my lectures end up being this insane, like spelunking through insanity, because I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, I have a lecture today, and I know roughly what I'm talking about, but I never get to the very organized section where I have like, I have slides, and then we go off script. Like for me, organizational stuff is like impossible.
I know.
So seeing like that we have exactly a spreadsheet of like a talk schedule. It somehow got submitted on time to the Hacker Tracker app. Just magic. And that's on that organization, the human side of things. Then we have the technical side of things, right? Because we have Pone College. Pone College is supposed to be done from the comfort of your home, not from an insane environment that may or may not have internet, that like is just chaos. So then we have to start thinking, okay, well, hey, what if the Wi-Fi doesn't work? What if this? What if that? Do we need to bring an offline backup Dojo deployment, like a server running our infrastructure?
Speaking of, I was going to transition it to somebody else since you've been talking for like 20 minutes. Connor, so it seems like this might be a challenge to run a hack on Pone College. Pone College is known for many things. Being very robust and resilient to network failure is not one of those things. And here we are in a untrusted kind of environment of DEF CON. So what's technical steps are you and the team taking to ensure that DEF CON Academy won't blow up because internet bad?
Well, our current default plan is to just hope that things that don't explode.
That's always our default
normal
plan.
Tradition. The other backup plan though is to bring some sort of server to DEF CON. So for context, historically, Pone College ran on one single 40-core node with 256 gigs of RAM from the year 2014. I don't know when was the CGC servers, 2014 CPUs, something like that.
2013, I think. CPU.
2013,
whatever.
yeah.
That era.
So this has historically worked great and scaled up to something like 200 concurrent users. So we could get a machine like that, we can do it.
Which, to give people context, 200 concurrent users is less than the size of half of a 365 class, which is why we would hit so many problems when we, it turns out you can have 700 students in a class, and as long as they kind of evenly distribute their working hours throughout, you're perfectly fine. You can scale with the current system we had. But once you have these things, deadlines where students don't distribute their time and they're all using the system at the same time, boom goes the crash.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the issue there. I will say there was one thought at one point where we would split up deadlines for different cohorts of 365, so that would just solve it with no technical implementation. But we ended up instead going multi-node. So now we can just scale to theoretically arbitrary users. We haven't found our crashing point yet in our infrastructure. I imagine we could scale like 1000x by adding more and more nodes. But either way, for DEF CON, if we can support 200 concurrent users and we can get a machine with 200 cores or not 200 cores, 40 cores, 256 gigs of memory. The issue is getting that in a travel-sized way to the DEF CON, where now every night we need to like move this computer into a hotel room and bring it back.
Travel-sized way. If you know, you can just carry about 100 pounds, we're good to go.
Actually, no joke. One of us has experience with MacBook Studios and running stuff on them. I was just thinking, if we got the top of the line thing with 256 gigs of memory and installed the Sahi Linux on it, that may work.
Yeah, man, have no problem.
But it's not x86.
Shoot, dang. Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah,
right.
which would work
It's
for
the
like
evil
Linux
architecture.
Luminarium and work for web security and work for a lot of stuff. Either way, whatever we do, we're probably going to be screwed on the speculative execution module if we don't have internet connection to our current nodes, because that is very hardware dependent. So there's all these trade-offs. I think really the default plan is things just will work and we're not going to have to use backup options, but
it's okay.
I think we'll probably figure that out.
Thinking ahead, at ASU, it's easier to order like Dell or Apple devices rather than, you know, something very custom. It's possible, but it takes months longer. So I figured no problem. I went to Dell's website. I chose the highest spec machine. I said, let's get this for the offline backup option. And Connor told me that I was an idiot and it's a bad choice. I bought it anyways. It is about the size of me and weighs about the same. So the backup option might be rough.
But Jan is going to be pushing this through the halls of DEF CON. So if you see a guy pushing a massive server around, that's Jan.
You mean it's somebody that Jan got to do it?
Exactly. Yeah, Rob is going to be doing it because he said we don't need to get a different thing.
What did we find, Jan? Do you remember about pushing giant servers around DEF CON, what the trick is?
Bribing people.
Just having coins to bribe goons to clear the crowd. It's like the parts the seas.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, great. Okay, so here's a question
challenge
from
coins.
Yeah, challenge coins, not real coins. Sorry, I should have specified. Amateur Hour on, I believe, Twitch said, speaking of MicroArch, what level is DEF CON Academy aimed at? At first, it sounded like introductory material. Rob, you want to answer that?
Sure. So when we think about DEF CON, there's a lot of people that are into the culture. And so it makes a lot of sense to have a lot of introductory material, right? Like I expect the vast majority of learners that walk into DEF CON Academy, this may be their first time with Linux, it may be their first time dealing with assembly or GDB. And so we definitely are catering the lecture material to kind of the more introductory side of things. But the way that I have the speakers lined up is as the con progresses, the complexity of the talks progresses. I don't expect anyone to show up to every talk and then walk out of there with a blue belt. If they do, that would be just mind-blowing. But like one of the last talks is MicroArch. I think we have one on format strings. And so we do want to touch on some of the concepts that we have in the blue belt. And ultimately, since most of the people who are kind of assisting and teaching have blue belts, you can come in and ask for, hey, I want help with this advanced concept. And there will be somebody there that can answer it.
Nice. That sounds great. All right. So yeah, so kind of all comers. I mean, that's the point of kind of staffing with blue belts and people who know the material. I think, I think it's going to serve as a great lightning rod, not just for people who are, new to Pone College or want to actually learn more about hacking at a hacker conference. What a novel idea. But also for people that maybe are current, like I think this will serve as a focal point for Pone College users to kind of gather. And I hope that what will happen is there'll be spill out effects where people get to actually know each other in person. They maybe are working on challenges together and then kind of like group up and form little IRL communities. Cool. Okay. So last thoughts. Somebody take us home. We will be at DEF CON. Find us there. Any other DEF CON Academy thoughts?
Belting ceremony.
Yeah,
there we go.
There's two things. One is we have the.
I said one thing. One thing.
They're related. There's the belting ceremony that we had last year on stage. It was super fun. Right, we had the Dark Tangent there handing out belts. We're gonna try to do the same thing.
Was it fun?
Again.
My ears are still ringing from that.
We had some audio issues, but we won't have them in the new space.
All right.
we're going to try to have the same thing. We'll definitely have a belting ceremony. We'll try to have Dark Tangent. He's the provost of DEF CON Academy. Perry's the vice provost. She'll be there to lend an air of gravitas. And we'll have kind of these sort of community things. Maybe we'll do like a, whatever. The big other thing I want to say is this is the first year of DEF CON Academy. We're trying to have a minimum viable DEF CON Academy, and it's already going to be awesome. Right now, we're just coming in with Pone College, but Pone College isn't equivalent to, they're not the same thing, DEF CON Academy and Pone College. DEF CON Academy should be more agnostic to, the actual platform that you're learning on. So I've already had some talks with Jack from CryptoHack, and it's a bad year in terms of no one from the core CryptoHack kind of admins is going to be at DEF CON, but maybe next year we'll have CryptoHack, we'll have other platforms as well. I think that'll be super cool because they all have slightly different areas of expertise, right? There's a lot more crypto, obviously on CryptoHack, not on Pone College, but Pone College still has some, and hopefully we'll teach people some of that crypto. But the future is bright.
The future is bright. The future is cross-platform. The future is learning-based. All right. And on that note, we're so happy to welcome Rob to his first podcast. Let's all give him a virtual round of applause, because I think he did great. I don't know what you guys thought, but the beard never disappoints. So thank you, Rob. We appreciate that, and we hope you're back much more often. Thanks everyone for chatting with us today. We are pwn.talk. Go check out Pone College, and we'll see you at DEF CON Academy. All right, close us out, Jan.
Goodbye, hackers.